With Mr. Allison, do you sell any other brands of vehicles? Just GM
not
products?
presently.
What's the size of your market area that you have? You said 6 counties, I think you said. Is that right?
It's actually 3 counties.
3 counties.
It's the
Okay.
majority of Jackson County, all of Swain County, and the greater portion of Graham County.
Do you have a population figure on what all that would, how many people would be?
Jackson County is about 39,000 people.
Okay.
About 64,000.
What's the average length of employment for someone who's been with you?
I have employees that have been well over 20 years. I think the youngest as far as service is probably 2 years, year and a half.
Okay. So, in other words, you've been there a long time.
Yes,
People
sir.
who work with you have been there a long time.
Yes, sir.
They're well-trained. You pay for the training.
Yes, sir.
At this point, you don't really cost the company any money per se.
No, sir.
Let me follow up with a question, Mr. Chairman, here. At what point do you actually purchase the vehicle? At the point when it comes off if you've ordered one, at the point that it comes off the assembly line, do you own it, or when it's dropped on your lot?
It's actually shortly thereafter being assembled. So shortly after it's come off the assembly line, then we've purchased the vehicle.
Okay, so the company charges your account, I assume?
Yeah, well, generally, if you pay for it in cash, they charge your account. If you're paying for it like I do through General Motors Acceptance Corporate or GMAC's floor plan, then they charge your floor plan.
Okay, very good.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Thomas, I know that you've also been profitable. What's the average length of your employee employment?
I've got 3 people that's got over 30 years. I got 7 people that's got over 13 years. I got 3 with over 10.
What do you think the average wage is of your employee?
Oh,
Let's see, you said you had $1 million payroll?
They'll average 40,000. My salesman in the high 50s, my service manager and parts manager in the high 40s, our techs all in the 40s. Our lowest paid would be naturally the boys in the cleanup department, and they'll make in the 20s.
So I think you said a while ago the average citizen's income in your area was $40,000.
$40,000.
So most of your employees are average or above average?
All of ours, with the exception of the 3 folks in our used car cleanup department. But all of our people,
Okay.
I've got 5 or 6 that makes well over 50.
Okay. What kind of impact is going to be on those lives? It's going to be where are they going to go get
They don't have a
jobs or-
place to go.
Don't have a place to
They
go.
won't have a place to go. They'll have to go to, well, I don't know where they'd go. They'd have to go to Columbia would be I would be assumed would be the closest place, and that's, an hour and something. I
Now,
don't know where
you
they
also
go.
don't sell any other brand, is that correct?
GM's all I have.
Okay, very good. Dr. Gross, where do you think this needs to go? I mean, you've studied this. You've seen that basically there's no cost to the car companies for the dealerships, yet they're canceling dealerships. I've got a little bit of a financial background, and to me, when you have a manufacturer, you need to have a distribution system. I mean, it's pretty important part of being able to sell your product to have a distribution system. We were talking with Mr. Thomas this morning before the hearing, and he was telling us, and in his testimony as well, how difficult it's going to be for people to buy his particular brand. There's going to be a void there. Other dealers may come in, but there is some, brand loyalty there. Where do you see this going as far as, are these companies just going to fall back and retrench? Or are they making some really bad business judgments here by cutting their distribution system off? What do you think?
Well, yes, sir. I don't think it would be the first time GM and Chrysler have made some bad decisions, if I may say that. And of course, I believe at least, now again, the problem I have, and I think most economists and most representatives have, is where's the analysis? Where's the transparency? And the motivation, at least from looking at it from GM's standpoint and Chrysler's standpoint, is economies of scale and the ability to reduce competition between dealers, and thus what we call in economics get the consumer surplus. In other words, the consumer surplus that goes now to the consumer would now go to the GM and Chrysler, which of course we in economics don't think highly of that. We like competitive markets. So my concern is that this reduces competition, and I think certainly that's the intent. Is one of the goals is to reduce competition. What they say is what they see as economies of scale. I don't know if there is economies of scale in terms of dealerships. They've yet to show the analysis of transparency, and from the non-economists, even for the economists and the dealers out there that are being closed, but especially the individual has yet to see, well, why? What's driving this? Where's the transparency? Why is my dealership going and another is staying? The travel time, as Mr. Thomas has indicated, are quite significant. The impact that's not even part of it is the farmers who in fact do get repairs at many of these dealerships, at least in the midsection of the country. So I think again, that's the motivation, and the impact, unfortunately, for the consumer is going to be certainly negative. There's no way you can reduce the number of dealerships and have the consumer better off, because
One other follow-up question before I finish up here. You talked about the lack of competition. I realize there's other automobile options out there. However, in a lot of rural areas, they're limited. So therefore, because of the lack of competition, do you see the opportunity for increased prices on other makes and models in a certain area? Is that a possibility, or is that because of the other competition that's available that will not occur?
Yes, sir, not just a possibility. It's going to happen. That again, I think, is a lot of the motivation for what's going on here, and that's certainly a concern as an economist. And back to my point about the volatility that we've seen, and we're making decisions for generations. In other words, these dealerships have been in business for generations, yet we're making, our GM and Chrysler's making decisions that will be with these communities forever. And the idea that somehow another dealer will come in, many of these communities will not see that. For example, in Auburn, Nebraska, the community I discussed, it's very unlikely, or I would say not but somewhere between 0 and 10% likelihood that there will be another dealership that will replace the one that's closed.
If Mr. Chairman will indulge me one more minute, just one follow-up question with regards to the appeals process that you gentlemen have had to go through or are trying to attempt to work your way through. Is there a process set up that you can present your case? Is there a board of review? Is there a group of people that you can talk to? Is there an individual that will make it, or is it just a fiat from above that's been dictated to you and this is what it's going to be?
That's it.
That's it.
Yes, sir. Thus far, that's been the alternative.
So regardless of the fact that you're profitable, made sales quotas, all of the other criteria that they look at and judge the quality and capability of your agency to survive and deliver quality service, those things are not able to be discussed with anybody at a higher level and appeal their decision? None. Okay.
In one of my email communications that I sent General Motors, I literally asked them, is there someone I can speak to, a person? And would you be willing to come down and talk to me? And really, those questions weren't answered directly.
Well, Mr. Chairman, from the standpoint that we're looking at the impact on rural areas, and these gentlemen have got good numbers from the standpoint of customer service, it looks like we've certainly got some work to do. Thank you, gentlemen, for your testimony.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,